welcome back to North Knives. Today I have another blade brought by Garrett over there at Bear Forest Knives. Now Bear Forest Knives and I, full disclosure, we have a little bit of a connection. Garrett throws some blades my way when he's making them, especially when he's releasing a blade. He's been sending a couple my way and I very much so appreciate that. One of the things I do really appreciate about Garrett is he gives me a full opportunity just to be honest about what I think of the blade. He's not jumping down my throat telling me what to say or what not to say. He's just letting me use it and use the blade properly, and I'm not breaking anything, I'm not being abusive to the blades per se, but he lets me use them and get a good feel for them and then just speak my mind. And you know what, not everybody lets you do that in the YouTube world or in the manufacturing world. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's kind of rare and I appreciate that. Now on to the simple knife. Now if you had followed my other channel, GTM, another outdoors based channel, on that channel about 7 months ago I reviewed the Gen 1 simple knife and I really liked it. Also a thin blade stock thickness just like this one with a similar small shorter Scandi grind, and I really liked that one. And this is just the second version of this variant right here is the simple knife number 2 or model 2, generation 2, however you want to say it. And this blade reminds me, of course, a lot of that generation 1, but it's got some uniqueness to it that I really like. And it definitely is the kind of blade that falls into the category that I like for EDC tasks, whether that's EDC around the house or out in the woods. And so I used it on several trips, and I got to go out in the woods. And this one particular day, we're going to see a lot of the footage from here today. It's just a beautiful Minnesota day. And I got to use it in kind of colder climates, starting fires and warming up, and then also making a little food and doing some whittling. And that's one of my favorite things to do. I do a lot of craft, and with any craft knife, I need a good grip. I have XL sized hands, guys, and I just cannot do really thin, small scales on blades. It's true. But at the same time, I like thinner blade stock on a lot of my knives. I do prefer it generally. And so that's kind of a hard combination to find. And when I started seeing some of Garrett's stuff, especially these simple knives, this is so in the category of what I would dream to find for a blade. It's hard to find, and this one fits it well. So one of the things I like to do when I'm reviewing a blade is to make what I call a birch cylinder. And so it's a simple bushcraft task, but it does actually kind of force you to use the blade in a lot of different ways, and it tells you a lot about the blade steel, the blade grind, the blade handle, even whether or not the thickness of the blade is the right size for what you're doing. It just tells you a lot about the knife, and kind of communicates that to your hand, whether it's comfortable or not. And so the task that I'm doing right now is I'm taking out kind of the rotted core of a birch bark log that I had cut out there. And the next thing I'm going to do is kind of trim down a couple pieces of oak as end caps, and I'll be cleaning it out. And so what you see here, I actually like that this blade is AEB-L or AEB-L Steel. I like that kind of steel, especially because I think that's been around since the 60s, guys, if I remember right. He cryo treats his over there at Bear Forest Knives, and it used to be a razor blade steel. I think it might even still be produced as a razor blade steel, and so it's extremely sharp. Like when I got this thing, it was hair popping sharp, crazy sharp. I really liked it, and you know what, it's easy to get that edge right back on it. Now one of the things about making one of these birch cylinders is you do have to have the ability to hollow out a piece of wood, and I usually just go for the pith right in the center, just like that. If I don't bring an awl of some sort, then I use my blade, and as you can tell, with a fairly thick piece of wood, I was still able to get to the core of that with that blade. It does have a nice tip and a strong enough tip, and it didn't dull it down, twisting it back and forth like that. You got to remember that it's steel and it's made to do some of these things, and actually it held up really, really nicely. Although over time, AEB-L Steel, you will have to sharpen it, and it's not hard to do. And so I'm looking forward actually to the first time I get to sharpen it. It's going to go right back to razor sharp. Now this is a very small piece of kindling. I wouldn't recommend batoning a knife like this. It just isn't necessary usually. There's not usually a lot of purpose, but for what I'm doing here, just a really small piece of work so I can make the cap knob. It's a little piece that goes on the top so I can pull the cap on and off of this birch bark cylinder. So obviously it throws a shower of sparks, nice sharp spine. As far as it goes in the kitchen, this is actually important to me, especially if it's going to be a blade I carry around often. I would like to belt carry a blade like this. It has a good clip and good sheath, which I'll get to in a little bit. And obviously working in the kitchen is kind of important. You're going to carry that out in the woods with you. You're going to be making food. And it's just nice to know that a blade that does technically have a Scandi is still thin enough to really be slicey, and it does a great job in the kitchen. So it's very convenient that this fits pretty much anywhere, in a pocket, in a backpack, in this 20 rounder magazine pouch, fit right in there with my silky saw, and it's really nice to have a small blade that's very, very capable. I really like the fact that this blade has a 3-inch cutting edge. That Scandi cutting surface there is 3 inches, and then it's got a 3-inch handle, and it's very even in my hand. Like you saw before, it fits in my hand very well. And it's easy to stow away. It's not awkward. It actually fits in my pocket really, really nicely as well. I considered flipping the pocket clip around and wearing it inside my pocket, but it fits nicely on the belt, and I like the sheath a lot. And so if you just check out the sheath here real quick, it conceals nicely on the belt line, and it's easy to get at and use the blade, and it slips in and out very nicely, but it is not a bad fit. And I want to show you that here in just a second. It's actually a pretty quality lockup. And Garrett does really well with Kydex. I've said that in every one of my BFK videos. His Kydex is very high quality. Look at how smooth the transitions are. There's no flakes taken out of it. There's nothing too rough on it. And I think all the edges are burnished. Looks really, really nice. The Kydex itself doesn't look like it got melted. The rivets, that's something I usually pay attention to. The rivets are done really well, and they're properly mushroomed around the Kydex. The clip itself is a great clip, and I've found it to be very useful in molly or on my belt, on my pants, lots of different ways. And of course that thumb ramp there, the thumb ramp is very convenient. So if you just watch this, look how well it snaps in and out. And if you haven't worked with Kydex, the thing that's amazing about this is there's no features on that handle. It doesn't have like a finger groove or something. It's the way that he's designing that thumb ramp and kind of the reverse tension, I think. And it does really, really well. And so it kind of pushes the blade down a little bit when you snap it in, but you hear that? It snaps in without any feature. And so some blades can't get that done even with having features on there. You know, it also has a proper drainage hole. I appreciate that in Minnesota very much. This blade has been my little whittling carving kind of knife on the last few trips, and I really like it because I didn't bring a full-size carving knife with me, the one that I usually bring. I just brought this, and especially for spoon carving, that's something I do a lot of. It's been really fun to work with this little blade, not to mention it does very well at the bigger parts as well as the smaller parts, like little detail work like that. Very capable blade. Love the blade steel. Easy maintenance on a blade like this. Perfect size for most people's hands. In fact, I can't think of anybody where this wouldn't be a good fit. If you have smaller hands, it's still going to work great for you. I think you'll think it's probably even more comfortable. And for me with XL size hands, guys, I'm telling you, it's surprising. It's really surprising. It's right in there with other great large size handles. My pinky may look like it's not quite on there, but it actually is, and I can hardly even tell that I'm holding on to a 3-inch handle. So I want to say well done to Garrett over there at Bear Force Knives. This knife does everything I need it to. It feathers like a dream, it carves spoons well, works with wood, works with food, it throws a shower of sparks, and it's just easy to maintain. And so for an EDC blade, a woods blade, something I wear around the town that's easily concealable under my sweater, I think this hits all the markers for me of the kind of blade I want to see more of. And so thank you, Garrett, for the opportunity to review this. I love it. It's a great blade, and I'm going to tell the rest of you guys, go check out Bear Force Knives, his website, or check out his Instagram if you want to see what's new, what's in the hopper, and maybe coming soon to his website. Go check them out quick. They sell out fast.